Hi there. Good morning. It is Friday, September 6th, and I am Rob, that developer dad. And I want to start off by saying happy birthday to my wonderful wife of almost 25 years. She turns another year older today. It is an integral value. I will not reveal more. But happy birthday to her. She is on a road trip with one of her girlfriends today. She'll be home late tonight and so on. So I'd be surprised if 9 of 12 jumps into the chat. She might. She's mobile. We'll see. I think they're going to Busch Gardens today. So that's going to be fun. She's very excited. She's never been. So yeah, that's going to be a good time. And it meant I could know life on Diablo 4 for a while last night. So let's see here. I'm going to empty my trash. And yesterday we started laying out the resource access component that's going to take care of the usage metering for when people use. I don't know why my robot keeps looking out the door. I think one of our friendly strays is outside making a scene. She tried to sneak into the house just before I went live here. So we started working on the usage metering and where we're going to store that information for our subscribers so that we can surface that in the UI as they're logged in and working in the application. So I was kind of struggling with concepts and what goes where and so on and so forth. And I like to have that kind of thing sorted out before I start writing the actual code and committing things to a database schema and all of that stuff. Because it's very, very cheap and easy to alter my design when it's just a bunch of boxes and text in a PowerPoint slide, for instance, versus once it's committed up to the server and it's running and all of that stuff, and I go, oh crap, I forgot this. So I want to take a little bit of time to figure out what are the things that need to be stored for each user in the actual database as opposed to over in Entra, so that they can so that I can serve the features that they want without going broke. So let's flip over to the main screen. And as you can see, I've got my handy dandy PowerPoint out. And let's start with, we've got our, give me a can. Here's a can. That silly cat is outside trying to get in the window by climbing my window unit air conditioner. Here, I'll flip it around. You can see her looking in. You can just see her at the edge there. It's very silly and very wild, and you can probably hear her going, meow, meow. She's a silly goose. All right, so we've got, I'm going to say we are going to have a schema called usage. And we'll call out the tables on that later on. Pardon me. And then, of course, we've got game tools, dot, what did I call the actual project? It's not up in framework, it's in resource access. Game tools dot metered usage access. Here we are. Game tools dot metered usage access dot SQL server provider. And I want to make that a little bit more consistent with the dots on the new line. That, of course, describes, or that, of course, is going to hold the SQL Server specific code for the activity definitions, or the task definitions, or however you want to slice the cake. What we define in metered usage access. Now, as part of this, we're also going to have subscription status and so on and so forth. A lot of that is going to be handled by whoever I go with for my processor, whether it's Stripe or Lemon Squeezy or some other provider service that I haven't heard of or thought of or looked into yet. I'm not quite sure. That decision is going to have to be made soon. But I am going to need to measure, well, we're going to need to be able to measure consumption of quota, adjust quotas, set periodic. Oh, pardon me. Periodic quotas. And it would help if I could spell periodic quotas subscriptions. Pardon me. Goodness gracious. I'm going to pop that down by a couple of font sizes. So periodic quotas, subscriptions. And I don't want all of this in one table. So that tells me that I need to let me think. So within a usage schema, let's pull these guys up over here. I'm going to pull my text up here. I'm just kind of visually making notes here is what I'm doing. And let's get rid of this. You go bye-bye. Ack. And I'm going to drop that in as text up here. No. Usage schema. There we go. You, my friend, are coming up in here. So inside the database, we are going to have and let's change the background color on this to a lighter blue. There we go. And edit Format the text on this guy, make it black, and user quotas. Whoops, Control C, V. And I think we want to use a concept of quota templates. And quota templates are going to, and then finally, user subscription. We're going to put these on different lines. User subscription status. All three of these guys, that text needs to go to the top. Up you go. And we'll push it to the left and shrink it down, I think a 14 point. Yeah, that works. And instead of user subscription status, let's just call it user subscriptions. You are going bold, bold, bold. All right, let's work in here for now. Not bold. We're going to have an ID. We are going to have a user ID. Quota template ID. Current budget. I don't know why that went bold on me. And consumption. Consumed budget. That's much more descriptive name. And of course, created date. This is just record metadata, updated date, etc. Over here in user subscriptions, we don't want to be bold. We want to go with an ID, user ID, period start, period end, created date, updated date, and that'll be nullable. Updated date will also be nullable. And unsubscribed date. Is nullable. Quota templates is ID, resource kind, ID, no, just resource kind, is periodic, unit grant. Yeah, I like that. Units granted. Create date on bold. Created date. Updated date. Hey, what's up, Rev? Deleted date. Deleted date and updated date are both nullable, of course. There goes Cambot. All right, so a user will have a subscription. A user will have a quotas record or a set of quota records, ideally one for each resource, each metered resource that they can work within. Those budgets are driven by the templates. And I'm going to say we're going to do something a little extra here because row ID, and then we're going to also have quota template ID. And then in here, we're going to have row valid start end. Now these guys, because this quota templates are going to be editable over time, but we're also going to want to know what was true at a given time. So I don't want to just like overwrite the data in those quota templates tables. Instead, I'm going to want to have a record for each state of that quota template. It's less important for user quotas because this is really just an aggregation, or it's a set of aggregations for each user. But because quota templates is going to be our source of truth for how we adjust those quotas on a monthly basis or when the account is opened or whatever, we'll be able to, or we want to be able to peek back at certain dates through time. Excuse me, for instance, when we're auditing to make sure that somebody's not getting ripped off, somebody being the group of people involved here, including myself. So with this row valid start and end and row ID, each update is going to increment the row ID, or each update to a particular quota template is going to update our row ID. That's going to be like sort of our primary key type thing. Row valid start is the moment that the change was written to the database. Row valid end is the moment that the update came in and created the new row for that particular quota template. It's a little confusing. The term is bitemporal data tables. Pardon me. And for the valid row, for the currently true row, that end date will always be either null, although I don't believe I can use nullable columns in indexes or constraints, or it will be date time dot max value, like 12/12/2099. That'll represent the forever date. Hey, Lovey, 9 of 12 did make it in. Happy birthday, lady. Did you ever find anything more satisfying to eat than the stale raisin bran that was left over at the loosely named continental breakfast? Oh boy, good times. I think there's a bagel shop somewhere in that area that you're at that's actually pretty decent. If I remember right from when we were up there years ago. What move was that? What move was what? I am confused. Oh, okay. Yeah. That's right. I'm not sure which movie you're talking about. Oh gosh. I don't remember. I do not recall. What were we watching where they were yelling about a continental breakfast? Oh, damn it. I don't remember. It certainly wasn't either Lord of the Rings or Onyx or the Terminator anime or anything like that. Do I need this bitemporal stuff? Now I'm second guessing myself, and I'm really glad I'm doing this exercise in PowerPoint here because, like I said at the start, it's really, really cheap and easy to fix here than it is once it's in the database. And my spidey sense is telling me that this level of complexity is superfluous. So I'm just going to change that from quota template ID to just plain old ID. And we can shrink this back to where it was before. Yeah, that ain't so bad. All right. Oh, God, what were we watching? See, now that's going to bug me. Oh, was it Chaos? Was it in Chaos? I think it was in that new Netflix series Chaos. Oh, by the way, 10 out of 10. It's a retelling of the Greek myths, but with like sort of the modern setting. And Jeff Goldblum is playing Zeus, and he's kind of perfect. Yeah, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Chaos. It was so good. All right, so quota templates, those are just going to be read from whenever somebody updates or when a subscription renews. So I'm going to group all of this stuff. Home, arrange, group. All right, need to be able to set periodic quotas, subscriptions. All right, so when so rather than this stuff, instead of need to be able to, let's backtrack a little bit to think about the real world things that are going to be happening in the system during its operation. And Fletcher was just frightened by something. The sound of alarm. So, when a new user signs up, when a user creates a new character, he did tell me about the D&D Minecraft solution, but during the session, nobody actually wanted to use it, unfortunately. Or one of the guys didn't want to use it. His session did not go as he had hoped it would the other night. One of the guys, their ADHD cranked up to 100 HD, and he just wasn't engaged. When a user creates a new character, and uses AI to get the details. When a user saves a created NPC to the database. When an existing user's subscription renews and the payment processor tells me I got the cash. When an existing user cancels their subscription. When an existing user is paid a refund by the processor, and the processor gives my money to that user. And these are the things. All right, Ms. 9 of 12, I hope you have wonderful, fun adventures today. And if you're home before I go to bed, I will see you when you get home. If not, I will see you in the morning. As soon as I know whether or not we are definitely playing D&D tomorrow afternoon, I will let you know. It's kind of on Lucy right now. So they don't know if they have mock trial type stuff this weekend or not. Two of my players just started university, and so they think they're going to be able to come into town here every weekend, but I suspect that they're underestimating the schedule chaos that getting into university and all of the university related activities and the extra assignments and work and so on and so forth that they're about to have piled onto them. All right, love. I will see you later. I suspect these two younger players in my group are about to fall victim to the scheduling boss, which makes me sad because they're great players. So when a new user signs up, we need to create a user quota for storage and AI and NPC generations. NPC storage and NPC generations. Increment the consumed budget for NPC generations by 1. Excuse me. Increment the consumed budget for stored NPCs by 1. Reset the consumed budget for NPC generations to 0. Set unsubscribed date on the user subscription record to get date. But do not zero out the AI budget. The quotas for AI. And I'm going to shrink these down a little more. Here we go. When a canceled user's current subscription time, current subscription period ends, zero out the current. Now don't zero it out. Set current budget for AI quotas to consumed budget. Yeah. Existing users paid a refund. Set current budget for AI quotas to consumed budget. Allow access to and saving of random or self-described characters. No. Allow access to, but not creation of new NPCs for three, maybe. For archiving and deleting from active storage. Yeah. Yeah. So after somebody lets their subscription lapse or flat out quits or whatever, I think we'll keep their characters on record for 3 or 6 months and then archive and delete. So they'll still be able to log in and access those characters, and we are going to build a download facility or a download capability into the UI so that they can pull down their created character information um, in some format. I might figure out how to make a nice PDF or something like that, where each NPC gets a page or whatever. I haven't designed that yet, but I do fully intend to allow downloading in a couple of different formats. Maybe text files, maybe like a text version and a PDF, like a unformatted plain text version and a nicely formatted PDF version or something like that. I haven't fully figured that out yet. So yeah, and then after somebody stops their subscription or quits or whatever, we'll allow them to log in and get access to that data that they've created for a limited period of time. After which we'll mark the NPC as deleted. We'll just do it at like soft deletion, and then I'm gonna have to build in some sort of automated process that every 30, 60, or 90 days goes in and just hard deletes anything that's been marked as a soft deletion. Or sorry, any NPC or entity data that's been marked as having been deleted. Which says to me we need a recycle bin, or we need to implement some way of accessing. Okay, new pages in app for exhaustive testing, and that can come after add ability to delete an NPC. First delete is a soft delete that marks an NPC as deleted. Later, 30, 60, 90 days, some process prunes all deleted NPCs that are deleted that many days ago. When this is in place, let users look at the NPCs in their recycle bin and undelete them as long as there is enough space in their NPC quota. Yeah. Delete is a soft delete. Marking an NPC as deleted decrements the storage quota for that user. Yeah, that works. All right. So back to this. This is the behavior that we need to implement in the account management subsystem, or we need to have available in the account management subsystem. We also need to be able to on demand, we need to be able to access a user's up-to-date quota data. All right, so I think this gives us enough database infrastructure to be able to handle all of that stuff. So I want to make sure, copy this, create a new slide, get rid of this nonsense, paste that over here. And this is just to help me remember what I need. And let's get a sheep. It's going to be a square, and I'm going to draw it right here. We're going to change the fill on this guy to be just a very super light gray. We're going to use that for the text. And we're going to edit the text. Before we start editing, we're going to bounce that left justified, add the top. All right, so quota operations. Create user quota. Increment quota usage. Works for both storage and AI consumption. When a user saves a created NPC to the database, increment the consume budget for stored NPCs by 1. Okay. If NPC is new, do not increment on an update or delete. Quotas and usage. All right, increment quota usage. Load user quota. renew quota for user, new. Renew. On subscription renewed. On subscription canceled. On subscription refunded. Yeah, I like that. So create user quota, and it's not going to be create user quota. It's going to be on subscription created. There we go. Insert new user quota, records, insert new user subscription record. Update user subscription record. Update periodic quotas with new budget consumption. Update user subscription record. Update user subscription record. Now, I'm thinking on load user quota, check subscription. If today between sub start and sub end, load quotas for user, check subscription. If today is between sub start and sub end, Actually, no. If today is greater than sub end, zero out available quota. And that's it. Not zero out available quota. That's really ambiguous. Set budget equal to consumption. Yeah, there we go. For each quota. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, that ain't bad. That's much more elegant than doing a whole lot of stuff. Update user subscription record, set deactivated date equal to today. We're going to come back up here and check. Unsubscribed date. That's such an awkward. Set unsubscribed and period end. Is that period end? Is that the word? Yep. Equal to today. Yeah, I like that. Now, if you're watching and following along, you will notice that the only thing in this database that I am holding that relates to a user and their information is the user ID. I am not keeping data about I'm not intending to keep data about my users that I don't need unless it's for operating or running this system. Now, yes, I'll have that information in the Microsoft Entra tenant about each user, like their name and so on and so forth, and those claims, but I am not storing any of that in my database. I'm not even storing their email addresses in my database, and there's a reason for that. I don't want to be responsible for maintaining and securing personally identifiable information. It's a privacy thing. If the unspeakable happens and some hacker gets access to the database, all they're going to get is a collection of NPCs and like budgeting information. And that's it. I'm not going to be holding credit cards. I'm not going to be holding personal information, nothing. I'm going to delegate all of the storage and maintenance of that data off to whoever is providing the cloud services. In this case, it's going to be Microsoft. And I've said this a million times, Microsoft is going to be able to do a much better job of managing the security for my customers' personal data than I would be personally. Like, I'm a smart guy, but I am not as smart as all of Microsoft. Similarly, for payment information, if I go with one of the big name, and I am going to go with one of the big name payment processors, it's likely to be some flavor of Stripe, Because even if I went with Lemon Squeezy was just bought by Stripe. Um, they are many orders of magnitude more capable at enforcing PCI compliance and payment information security and all of that stuff. They're going to be much more capable than I am alone by myself. And that's why I want to delegate responsibility for those storage aspects to those other organizations. And yes, I'm going to be paying them for it, but it's going to be a fraction of the cost for me personally to build and stand up and have audited and get certification on all of those things that their services bring to the table for me. And it's going to be infinitely less expensive than a lawsuit if in the event of a data breach. Because if my database gets breached, or if the back-end database for this service gets breached, big friggin' deal. Who cares? Nobody's personal information is getting out there. They're going to get a bunch of names and attributes for some fantasy game NPCs. They're not even going to get email addresses out of my database. So I feel pretty good about that decision. All right. I think I've got enough to start thinking through more cohesively and concisely thinking through this this code, and I think this afternoon we're going to start working on some actual C# and SQL to get this stuff implemented. And I am seeing two interfaces here. I'm probably going to satisfy both interfaces in the same implementation class, because I think I'm going to lump this stuff into the same schemas, or into the same SQL schema. Different tables, of course, but same table organization, like the same folder in the file cabinet. So yeah, I think I'm going to break for the morning, and I'm going to come back at 1 p.m. Eastern, and we'll pick this up. I feel quite good about this design. And I'll be really glad that I went through this hour-long exercise. Well, not even an hour long, probably about 45 minutes. Exercise of just listing out what has to happen, and then figuring out where and loosely how we're going to do it before we actually start doing it. That's a very common thread that in my in the way I approach software is I always like to take just a few minutes, just a little bit of time to really think about the what and the where, so that everything has a place and everything is there's a place for everything, and everything is in its place. I like having my code logically organized. It makes it a whole lot easier to make changes later on when changes become necessary. So until this afternoon, take care of yourselves. Go eat some lunch. It's Friday. And yeah, happy coding. See you again soon.